With the hubs looked over, the lid at the top was opened again to do a proper cleaning of the bogie itself, mainly spraying some brake clean and flushing out some debris. Most of what's in there is, or what came out was super fine ground down material. There was quite a little bit of silicone or something in the threads, so they were cleaned out. Also removed the old silicone at the lid. There was some mangled metal at a few spots, so that was removed. Also brought out the sprocket so they could be turned individually if it would be required during installation. Didn't pull the axle all the way out this time, hoping it would slide back in. Had found a fuel leak on the little excavator, so we used the tractor to be able to lift up the hubs and install them. A little bit of silicone was added. Then it was just a matter of trying to wiggle it into place and get a few bolts to grab on. With a few bolts in place and started tightening them up a little, the straps and could be removed, and here the lifting bolts, and using pliers to ensure I don't drop that thin nut holding that bolt in place. And hand tightened 4 of the bolts to ensure it went on there evenly. After that, the machine was brought in to tighten up the rest of them. And pretty much the same procedure on the next one. It was a little bit of a rough edge up here, kind of almost like a little bit of rust that had made its way in there. Silicone, lifting the hub in place. With it close, it was just a matter of sliding thing in place, getting a few bolts to grab again, tightening things up. Used a little amount of medium Loctite on the bolts here. Added some grease, since that sprocket was pulled out, they could be individually turned around. But ran into the same problem as last time, that it refused to line up and slide in. Had noticed this was a threaded hole at the end, so we added a bolt, but we started the diesel heater and let that run for a little bit while we tightened things up, so we could start the machine and release the parking brake. Checked the plugs on the other bogie also. Nothing on the magnets there, so that's good. With the parking brake removed, it could be moved or turned a little and it started sliding in. Here the bearing behind it didn't really want to go in evenly, but a little crowbar and being able to straighten that up and tapping it all the way in. The bolt was removed, some silicone added, and the lid was put back in place. Bogie was refilled with oil. Now, while the wheels are gone, it's easy access. He opened that plug for the void to see if a lot of oil had escaped from the differential, but a very tiny amount came out, so I'm not gonna bother refilling the differential this time. As I said, the excavator had a small fuel leak, and something is wrong with the loader now on the tractor also. I'm not having much luck with my machines right now, so we used muscle power to get the big wheels in place. Tighten. Oh, here my dad is blowing his nose. Tighten the nuts back up. Added some grease to the threads. And then we wrestle the other wheel back in place. Had to lift the rear one a little and jam a piece of wood under there to be able to get the front one in place. Eventually it was on there, the nuts could be fitted. Everything tightened up. So with the wheels back on, tightened up, it was pushed up, the support underneath it was removed. Decided to check the plug on the differential also, that I had installed a magnetic plug on, just to ensure that there were no surprises in there either. It looked good. Checked inside the frame and everything looks good in there. Quick look at the forwarder, because it still leaks a little oil and might have found another hose that needs to be replaced. More on that later.